record is active. I will get in through the portale. And we'll do Zul Farrak. And in we go. So this is a Holy Paladin perspective of Zul Farrak. And this will be going up on the YouTube channel. I will set my heal bots. We got lots of paladins, so I'm just going to buff Wisdom on the melee, Salvation. No, what am I doing? Wisdom on the ranged, and Might on the melee. And that's my buffs. Sorted. Oh no, actually I'll do Wisdom on myself as well. There we go. So, Blessing of Might, Wisdom. That should, in theory, have given everybody the right buffs. I'm a bat, somehow. Cannot cast spells while in bat form. That's good, well done, you knobhead. Sorry. Imagine if they'd run in and pulled and I can't cast any bloody spells. Gee whiz. Perma silence. Okay, there we go. So, retaliazant. So retaliate being a very good warrior ability. So the markings you see here, tank I'm assuming, and healer. Some groups like to mark up, others don't. I'm pretty flex. Main thing to think about as a Holy Paladin is obviously make sure everybody's buffed. Make sure your seals are on the right bars. So I will potentially sometimes Seal of Light, which is a small heal to melee classes. So I'll show you that now. If I go in and I unleash my Judgment, now, whenever melee attacks are made, there'll be a chance to heal. And the basic premise is manage your mana. As a Paladin, for the most part, mana is not a huge issue, because you have the ability in your talent tree, which is, I will find it. He says. There we go. Whenever you get a critical effect. So crit, and you get that mana back. So in theory, I should be okay for mana. So I pop in, unleash my Judgment. I, in theory, could drop a Consecration there. The group seems good enough, but I'm going to do my job. Dispel, obviously I've got a Keybind. Stop the runners with a Hammer of Justice. Not that they would have got anywhere, but... yeah, so your Dispel button's pretty important. Dispel is... yeah, for the most part, what you want to be doing. I'm now going to pop a Divine Favour and then a Holy Light. So as you can see, I let him get lower than potentially needed because I knew that was going to happen. It's mana efficient, and on mobs where they're not hitting crazy hard, you can get away with that little trick. So you pop your Divine Favour and you can use it as a mana tool rather than a big heal tool. There are times, obviously, when you want to use it as a big heal, or sometimes you want to use it with your Holy Shock. Holy Shock's a spell you don't use very much as a Holy Paladin. It's not really mana efficient, but it's an insta-heal. So there it was. And it's coupled with a Divine Favour, becomes a bit more, obviously, mana efficient, and the crit means it hits for about 500. I like to use my hammer proactively to mitigate damage, saves mana. If something's stunned, it's not doing damage, meaning I'm not having to heal. So yeah, my main objective, stay above 75% mana at all times. If I drop below 75% mana, I will have a little drink of my morning glory. Oh, there's a big pull here, so this is where we might drop a little bit. So obviously Dispel as well. Your big or most often used spell is Flash of Light. It's quick, it's mana efficient, and it keeps your tank high and healthy. And like I said, sometimes you want to let them drop a little bit and then a Holy Light after a Divine Favour. But for the most part, you're thinking about mana. One of the other considerations is your positioning. You can be line of sight in mobs. You can be making sure you're not pulling patrols. So you're constantly looking around. So the Holy Paladin, you're staying at range and you're being aware of your surroundings. So when you're casting your heal, what I tend to do is just have a little look around. So you can see there's a mob patrolling around to this right hand side. Make sure I'm not stood right there and pulling this mob. Again, use your hammer proactively to stop the spell cast. Saves your mana. You got the 5-second rule as a healer, so if you don't heal for 5 seconds, your mana starts regenning, which is pretty good. I've got a lot of spirit gear at the moment because it just seems to be what's dropping, and a lot of cloth gear. So at the moment, I'm kind of liking the spirit regen. I'm going to use my Holy Light free spell here. Zoink. Big crit. No mana used, and I'll just do some flasher lights. Other point of note, flasher light heals for about 400-ish for the most part. Sometimes, like would be shown here, I might want to do a smaller flasher light, so I hold down shift, it's a keybind, and it uses a ranked down version of the spell, which uses less mana, thus doesn't overheal. So, full flash of light. And then I was hoping somebody would get a little bit of damage there that I could show, but they didn't, unfortunately. Yeah, Lucanio has got one now, so a ranked down flash of light for a smaller heal, less mana. That's quite a good way of doing it. And get the crit. Drop the hammer. Mitigate a bit of damage. I might use my bag. Let's have a look at what the 6 demon bag gives us. A fireball. Okay, a bit disappointing. Could have at least been a lightning bolt. And again, mana's not really a huge issue. It's not really a good makeup for buffs, by the way. Like, all we've got is... Oh, we should have kings off one of the paladins, but they're obviously getting to buff. I'm buffing wisdom and might, because I'm not in kings. Kings is down in here, but they'll be... Somebody's got it, because I saw it on me earlier, so somebody has gone down that talent tree and has got Blessing of Kings. But yeah, but I always find with... do you know what? I think I might put onto Concentration Aura as well. Yeah, I've put Concentration Aura on. I just realised we already had Devotion Aura and... Oh, they've just switched. What? There we go. So we already had Retribution and Devotion, so I'll go to Concentration. So we've got all 3 on the go. Not that we really need it, but it is what it is. I was going to say something then. Totally forgot what it was. Couldn't have been that important. So yeah, dungeons. For me, the most fun part of any leveling experience is to do the dungeons. I really enjoy them. Oh, we got a nice necklace there. That will vendor pretty well. No, not vendor. That will go well on the auction house, I should say. So yeah, dungeons, really good fun, really good part of the story and the lore. Good XP, good gear. Just a nice thing to do on a Sunday afternoon. Do a ranked down flash of light, and I've got the same thing with my Holy Light, by the way. So a full heal is my right click, and a shift Holy Light is the ranked down Holy Light. So it's I think I use a 3 rank less. I will check that. So my main one is rank 7, rank 5, yeah. So this is good. Line of sight. I can heal here now, and oh, got sheeped. So quick dispel of the sheep. But any mobs then that are aggroed by the healing aggro will have to run around that rock into the warrior's range. So yeah, your positioning is always super important as a healer. You don't want to butt pull. You don't want to be in melee range because you don't want to get kicked. You get healing aggro. What you can do is you can just line of sight and bring said mob over to you. Got a patrol coming in here. There's a nasty patrol that comes in here with one of the little slivery things, the crocodile things. Coffee time! Oh, Steve, I need a bloody coffee as well. I'm in a dungeon now, though I'll have to have it afterwards. So as soon as we've done this, we'll have a coffee. So yeah, a good healer, and a good tank, I should say as well, makes dungeons look easy, because nobody drops low. You're fully focused, you're managing your mana, you're managing your positioning, you're making sure you're not ninja pulling. Everything becomes easy because of a good tank and a good healer. And then in a DPS, what you kind of want to do with DPS, or as a DPS, is damage. You just want to pew pew. You don't have to be worried about controlling mobs because you pulled too many or any of that sort of stuff. Oh, there we go. There's a patrol coming in here now, which will probably get pulled by this hunter. I stand corrected. The hunter did not pull. If it was a lower level, it might have done. Because it's level 51, it didn't actually pull. These are a pain, by the way. He better not pull these now. So when you pull these scarabs, they run through and pull every other scarab. And it's the time I almost died in a bloody dungeon was because of that. So if he does an AoE ability now which aggroes these, we're in trouble. Well, not in trouble, but it means we'll have to play like gods to stay alive. Again, that's probably over-dramatising it. We don't have to play like gods. We'd have to be on the ball. Because these little things do nasty AoE. So yeah, I was doing a dungeon with my priest back when Landroe was leveling up in here. Landroe's now sat at level 60 doing his thing. And a mage pulled one of these and then ran to where we were at the graves and pulled them all with him. And yeah, it was sketch. It was proper sketch. Probably the closest I've come to dying, other than when Princess from Morodion ran at me and thrashed me 4 times and I had to get a stone form desperate prayer macro button off just to stay alive. That was bloody close as well. So this area here, there's lots of patrols up in these bloody cliffs, by the way, which can be a pain in the backside. Personally, my preference is to clear these before you do the boss, because the boss spawns adds that can aggro these. And whilst again they're not hugely problematic on their own, they do a 7-second stun thing called petrify. There we go. Good tank knows the drill. So I've stuck a Judgment of Light on that one because there'll be 2 pulled at once here. I'll try and get a bit further back out of range because I don't want to get petrified. You'll see a petrify, it will come up here as a little blue. There we go, petrify, and I can dispel instantly. Tank didn't even know he had it on him. Oh, I kind of need that on Landroe, but it is what it is. So yeah, being aware of what the mobs do and your surroundings. So yeah, like these little patrolling mobs. Oh, Yishka. So Durvaga Priest has just died at level 60. Yikes. Where were they at the time? Wow. Nax Ramus. Ooh. So they've died in Nax Ramus to one of the gargoyles. Yikes, that's the end game dungeon. Wow. So all that time, all that effort gearing up to get into Nax Ramus, and they've just died. Ouch. Okay, so we're going to go with the boss. I would personally pull some of these mobs, but it is what it is. There we go. We didn't have to worry because the mob just patrolled over. Not an issue. Okie dokes, the boss has been pulled. There we go. So I'm going to stay in this AoE. That's my mission here. Because I don't care if somebody else gets aggro. I can heal them. I can heal people. If I get aggro and I'm getting kicked and knocked and stunned, that's when there's a problem. So you can have a stun. Somebody going to taunt it off me? There we go. Thank you. So these things, remember, they've got the petrify. So you want to be killing them. There we go. Ooh, it's an actual upgrade. Oh, he's got petrify. But others have needed it, so I will just outright pass. Somebody didn't get the loot they wanted. It's a shame as well because they are a very good drop. Very good drop. Oh. Almost ran straight into that then. So the character that wasn't even in here is a DPS. Or wasn't sure they could DPS, or what was it? They were a tank or a healer as one of the DPS item. I guess it's a tanking item as well in some respects. But that's the nature. Loots are such a minor thing to think about when you're leveling. If you get the loot, bonus. If you don't get it, not the end of the world. So this boss, I personally like to get up in here because when these spawn, they've got to run past the tank to get to me. So I tend to go and stand up in here to heal now, and hopefully everybody else stands up here. So there we go. In theory now, I don't know if that's coming at me or not. In theory, anything that comes up here will get aggroed into that area there, and I can just stay nice and safe in here. That's my preference. I used to stand outside there, but every now and then a bloody zombie aggroes, and it's just annoying. They're just like, it's just getting hit when you're healing. It's just a pain in the backside. I'm taking damage as you're healing, obviously. Let's roll for the chest then. Let's see what we got. 62. Beat that, people. Oh, okay. Just loot it then. That's fine. I don't mind. You take your 2 mage or 3 mage weed. 3? Oh, if it was 2, I wouldn't have been annoyed. 3? Jeez, come on. Oh, okay. So there's a lot of patrols here. Tank's obviously upset. He's lost his gloves. He's rushing. He just wants to get through the dungeon now. He doesn't care about the dungeon anymore. We just don't want to get, there we go, petrified or sheeped or hexed or anything like that. So I will stay out of line of sight over here and just pop out and heal every now and then. A couple of rank down flash of light, a full flash of light. Get rid of the petri, back up. Stay out of line of sight so I'm not getting controlled. Hi, 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 Merry Christmas. Drop a judgment. Come back out of range, or those hexes. Don't know if they're the ones that hex, to be honest, but it's a good habit to get into. A lot of patrols in this little part of Zul Farrak. It's not a difficult part, but there are a lot of patrols that can cause bloody problems. Generally speaking, it's a very manageable area, but if you get a patrol, a stun, a hex, things start to get a bit problematic. Yeah, just have a little scout around, make sure there's nothing there. And again, one of the things I like to do in these areas, stay at max mana, just in case, you know, if we get multiple pools on the go, I've got the ability to help out. But I don't do. So in danger areas, I'll sit and have a little drink. First time I think I've had to drink in a dungeon. Again, I think I was going to say there's a mob up in this area here, so you'll be a bit careful now. Making sure I'm positioning myself not to aggro anything. There's another mob coming in that does actually hex, so I'll get out of the way of that one. There's a healing wand that somebody, yeah, there we go. Excellente. Again, just playing it safe. Don't need to pull too many. Amount of deaths I've seen in hardcore from overconfidence. Just let the DPS and the tank do their ting, and I do my ting. Don't think there's any patrols that come out this way, but I will just check. Once we've done this dungeon, I will grab a coffee, because we're flying through this. We're going to be done, unless we got the hammer, we'll be done by like about 8:30. And then we can do some stuff with the ROG. A couple of flashes up, top the tank up. I'm going to drink just because. I don't really think there's much going on here. I can pop out my heal with a divine and have pretty much full mana. sheep tank, so dispel the sheep very quickly. I'm a little bit slower than I'd like to have been with that dispel. So obviously when they're sheep like that, the aggro drops off and it can be a bit of a pain to get threat. Right, now we get the little RPG elements. We got to the top of these stairs. There's some prisoners that have been held captive. We release them and they become our allies for a little bit. So the executioner has a key to unlock the prisoners. And then the little RPG event starts. So I went in there to drop a melee. It just refreshes my Seal of Light. So whoever gets the loot, which is this chap here, goes and unlocks the cages. Give him a nudge. Emote. So I like to stand here for this event. So what happens now, a load of zombies spawn. We have these guys on our side, and we've got to stop them getting up here and killing our NPCs. There's a reset spot down here, or down here. So if things get really messy, I don't know how that could possibly happen, but you can reset these mobs by jumping down here and staying alive. As you can see, there's a lot of mobs. I've had it bug out before where they all run up. I managed to heal through it. So, yeah. But I like to be here. Reason being, I can heal my allies. So let's say Heke's the furthest. He's in line of sight. If I get aggro, these guys have got to run all the way around here to get to me. They get up this little lip by here, so it means they've got to run past everybody else. So I like to stand by here, really. So as you can see, if I heal, these guys should aggro me. Okay, I'm proven wrong. Ah, whatever. They normally do. But yeah, healing aggro is a real thing. Obviously, we've got a lot of AoE down and a good warrior tank, so we'll say that's why. A couple of down-ranked flash of lights here. There's no worry with this for mana because you get to drink between pulls if you need it. You can, like I said, run down and grab all these guys. Makes it for fun. If you've got a good AoE mage. I wouldn't recommend doing that on hardcore. Hardcore, in dungeons, is about taking the minimum number of risks to live to fight another day. There's no point saving a minute and risking your survival now. And of course your NPCs come and help you as well here. Get rid of the debuff. A little Shadow Word Pain went out there, so we'll get rid of that. Again, we're just sitting here. Oh, we've gone out of line of sight now. Stairs are a bloody notorious problematic line of sight issue for healers. Stairs and undulations, don't like them at all. Again, we're just sitting here, we're popping out the rank down flash of lights, we're popping out the casual, the odd judgment where required. I'm going to save my divine favour here. Mana's not an issue here. There is a little bit of a moment when these NPCs start walking down to engage with the protagonists of this, which will spawn in a minute, that you can sometimes get a respawn of all these bloody mobs. So I'm going to save my divine favour for that, just in case it's required. Again, better to have as many cooldowns up for the moments that you know may be an issue. Like normally, like I said, I'm using this as a mana regen tool to make the dungeon smoother. There are certain bosses and certain fights where that is actually a utility tool to increase your healing throughput, which sometimes takes precedent. Can you even mount up here? I can't mount here. Can you even mount up here? You can't mount here. Whatevs. Gosh, casual 525. That reminds me of something, actually. There is another... I don't often use it, but late game it gets used a bit more. You've got a buff here somewhere. Have I gone past it? Yeah, Blessing of Light. So you can put that on your target, and it increases the healing of your Holy Light by 300 and your Flash of Light by 85. So, like, end-game content, there is some viability to putting that on your tanks that are taking, like, spikes of damage to ensure that they don't die. So when the NPC, when my group member goes red here, it means they're missing a buff. And I've got it set to auto buff my melee for might and my ranged for Blessing of Wisdom at the moment, and myself Blessing of Wisdom as well. So if anybody's missing those buffs, then it'll go red for me and I can rebuff them. So like that, boom. He's got his Blessing of Might back. Oh, Blessing of Wisdom because he's ranged. Sorry, he's the hunter. Hunters want Wisdom because they don't do any melee damage directly. Their pets, however, and give him, there he is, Lotto. He can have Blessing of Might. I don't know why that wasn't red on there. So yes, if you've got free mana, may as well put the melee buff on the petty. But hunters themselves want Blessing of Wisdom. They actually use mana. Focus was introduced at a later stage for Warcraft, so nowadays they use focus. It's a similar kind of mechanic to a rogue's kind of energy. But back in the day, they were another that used the mana as their resource. Played left-handed there for a second as I yawned. Don't know why I'm yawning. I've had a very relaxing day today. It's that coffee, Steve. I need that bloody coffee. You know, I'd be so tempted to just run down there now. Oh, somebody else has just died. Gego, been slain by a stone splitter seer. This is the death log where you can see the deaths. Probably shouldn't bring that up when I'm in the middle of combat. I couldn't see the heal bot. So heal bot's this UI that I use here for healing. I've used it 15 years. I love it. Works perfectly for me. Means I can keybind different spells and abilities to each click. So left click, flashlight, shift left click, control shift left click, control alt left click. So you can get, there's 9 different variations I can use for each click of my mouse, and it's a 5-button mouse. More than enough for what you need on hardcore. So I cannot get my head around the targeting way of doing it. I much rather target whatever I want to target and know that heal is going where I'm clicking. It works for me. I was just spamming heals there, by the way. I should drink. So this is what I was saying before. Now we've got the main group spawned at the bottom that we're going to fight, and our group, led by Sergeant Bly, are starting to venture forth quite often. Here we go. So we aggroed all of these now. So it does get a bit intense here because of these Sandfury acolytes. The zealots as well. They enrage. So yeah, there's my divine favor into a holy light, and then my tank goes from half health to full health. And I'm still at 90-odd% mana. So there we go. You kind of knew that was coming. Saved. It did save mana as well, I guess. But it was the big heal that I knew I needed, or potentially need. I want to talk about. I probably could have done it with just flash of lights, but it's nice to use your full repertoire of spells. So here we go. Shadow Priest says, and Necrom Gutch Chewer are the ones we're killing now. As a team of like 10 of us. We've got no chance, bruv. No chance in this battle. And we got the polearm. That is just a bit pants. So we will skip that as agreed. And there we go. Our friends. Wait a minute. I smell a rat. Sergeant Bly. Why have you got scabs all over your face? Oh, wait a second. You're one of them? Oh, attack! So I got a little hammer of justice here off of this on this priest. And then it's a case of zerging them down. So yeah, that was a little plot twist. We helped them escape. We killed all the trolls, and they were actually the bad guys. They were the bad guys all along. We're just going to drop a... so Judgment of Light dropped on, so the melees will heal a little bit now. And this is what I was going to say. If I go in and do another melee swing, and it hits, it refreshes the duration of the Judgment of Light. So we have to keep reapplying it with mana. It's just a melee swing that reapplies it and refreshes it, so you can kind of dance in and out of melee range. Obviously, like I said, there's a lot of reasons why you don't want to stand in melee range. There's cleaves, there's AoEs, there's fears, there's kicks, which are the biggest problem. You get kicked as a healer. It's not good. It's not good. So we're going up now towards the last of the main bosses. There is a sub-boss that we might be doing if we've got the hammer, which is down the bottom. Get rid of the sheep. It's Gazalkal. I can't remember his name. So he's fleeing. I'll keep my Hammer of Justice at this point because there's a moment up here where we get four snakes simultaneously. So Hammer of Justicing one to keep him under control is quite useful. So these things I like to loz, so line of sight them. So I dance in and out of the line of sight every heal, just to make sure I don't get caught by the gaze. We're probably going to kill him before it goes off, to be fair, this time. And again, it's playing super safe. There's no reason for me necessarily to do that, but it does make sense to play to the numbers. So this is where we get all the snakes. So I will pop in, drop a hammer on one. Oh, I gave myself a blessing of freedom somehow. Don't know why I did that. Miss Fat Finger. And it's one of the reasons why you see my Light of a Loon, etc. way out of the way, so I don't fat finger them. Fat Finger and a Blessing of Freedom is not a huge problem. Fat Finger in your bloody Petrification is huge. Cost you 80 bloody gold, that would. So yeah. So this boss has a threat drop mechanic. So I'm a Paladin and I have something called Blessing of Protection. If you had a Clothy, there is potential to have aggro go onto your Clothy. It's skill dependent on your tank. It probably won't happen, but it's something to look out for. Again, we're playing to the numbers here. We've got plate wearers. They should be high enough up on the threat table, but he might go for the hunter, which potentially means I might need to Blessing of Protection. So it's just making sure your cooldowns are ready, knowing what you've got available going into the pull. I'm obviously going to drop in here to start with and drop a Judgment. There, go back out, get a Holy Light in to get things back up and running smoothly, because I had to do a bit of movement there. And then I just flash a light. And here we go. So there's the drop. You see ran for me, which is why I try and stay at max range at that point there. I'm a plate wearer in theory, although I do wear a lot of cloth. But I was with a mage earlier that was on a boss, had a similar mechanic, and it literally turned around and in 0.5 of a second one-shotted them. From 100 health to dead. One crushing blow. Oh, that's such a good drop. Not for me, but that's epic. I think that is probably best in slot for a couple of these classes here. If nobody needs that, I'm going to need that, because that's a big upgrade to what I've got. I don't. Oh. Oh no. I don't know if I can get out of here. I'm gonna need it. It doesn't look like anybody needed. Yeah. So I don't need the tiara. Oh, okay, so one does need it, so we go and do the tiara bit as well. You alright, bro? I'm just doing a YouTube video.
YouTube?
Well, I've got it streaming at the same time, but I'm also putting it. I'm going to upload this to YouTube because it's a dungeon quest that, sorry, a dungeon run as well. Yeah, may as well. Yeah, have it as the gaming channel. Louis, he's doing rude gestures to you, Steve. Little monkey. So this area, you'll probably see on the heroic death clips, the most common part of this dungeon where there's wipes, and it's just because the way that the pull mechanic works here. Not the pull mechanic, the patrols and the mob you need, and it's very easy to pull more than you need to. I sit back here, let the tank go out, do his thing, drop back in. He says, what's he doing? There we go. I think he just got the wrong angle there. Let the tank, LOS, and as soon as they're out of range, then you can start getting the heals off. If you heal before that, I get the threat. There we go. That was easy. Tiara of the Deep. There we go. So I'm half stoning out. And that is Zul Farrak. Very fun dungeon. There we go, and that is that. Yeah, the elephant in the room. No comment. Right then. Thank you very much. I will stop the recording. I'm still going to stream. And we'll do something with the rogue now. Hopefully you enjoy the channel. There'll be more videos, more dungeon groups, etc. appearing on the channel. Various different characters in the coming weeks. Landroe out.